Smuggermania is running mild, brother! Hello, my fellow Marks, and welcome to the long-awaited Cena-mania edition of the Remark, sponsored by Mountain Dew Kickstart, guaranteed to give you enough energy to survive the 15 heart attacks you sustain while drinking it. My name's Martin, and I've never set foot in a wrestling ring in my entire life, which makes me more qualified to appear at Wrestlemania than most of their celebrity guests. Wrestlemania. No other pay-per-view even comes close. Where else would you be able to see The Undertaker hang the Big Boss Man in a Hell in a Cell match where literally nothing happens? Where else would you be able to see Brock Lesnar and Goldberg wrestle with the audience's patience until it violently submits about 5 minutes into the match? And where else will you find Little Richard patriotically lip-syncing to America the Beautiful in lieu of actually singing it? Yes, WrestleMania is always at all times having moments that will be indelibly etched in the annals of history. And if a moment happens that doesn't seem all that impressive, Michael Cole will just yell at you until you believe otherwise. This year's WrestleMania was also full of unforgettable moments. And trust me, I've tried to forget a fair few of them. But sadly, there's only so much bleach I can fit into my eye sockets. This year on the Cock-Off Show, we start things off with professional wrestling superstar LL defining the various variations of the word mania. For instance, megalomania, the condition of experiencing heightened delusions of one's own importance, also known as being in the internet wrestling community. Kleptomania, the condition of wanting to steal the Intercontinental title belt until it loses all meaning. And Hulkamania, the condition of not knowing when to retire. This year, WrestleMania comes to us from Levi's Stadium, which is appropriate, as much like a pair of tight, skinny jeans, it made our butts feel extremely uncomfortable while we experienced it. Also, it probably would have seemed much cooler if they'd just torn up a bunch of the material. As always, we're joined by our panel of experts. Renee Young, the expert of being cute as a button. Booker T, the expert of being astute as a button. Corey Graves, the expert of being made moot by concussion. And Byron Saxton, the expert who is...
You might as well cut the ribbon and call me Sally.
Saying that, apparently. Corey Graves says there is literally nowhere on earth that he'd rather be at this very moment. Yes, he would much rather be sat between Booker T and Byron Saxton than actually being 100 feet below where he is, performing in a wrestling ring. One could argue that it would risk exacerbating his head injury, but then one could also argue that sitting in between Booker T and Byron Saxton would do the same. Booker T has written a book. Booker T is a published author. Booker T has written things down that have been put inside a novel that people are actively buying. Booker T wrote words and now people are paying to read them. Booker T has written more novels than you or I ever will. Everybody gets so excited for the upcoming pay-per-view that they start aggressively shilling the WWE network, which costs $9.99 a month, or as Booker T would say,
$9.99.
It takes work.
How dare you question esteemed poet and mathematician Booker William Shakespeare T? What light in yonder spinneroony breaks? There are going to be 2 exclusive matches on the WrestleMania pre-show. Exclusive in that being in those matches excludes you from showcasing your talents on the actual pay-per-view. First, the Fatal 4-Way for the tag titles, a match that threatens to steal the show. Because as we all know, the best time to steal something is when nobody's watching it. And secondly, we have the Andre the Giant Memorial game of Spin the Bottle, in which the rules state that whoever the bottle points at must kiss their careers goodbye. Renee Young smiles and nods at accomplished author Booker T and asks him why winning the Andre the Giant Memorial game of Mario Party is important. Booker tells her that the event will go down in history and everybody will remember who won it. Just like the winner of last year's Battle Royal, LL Cool J, who is being heavily featured in this WrestleMania as a result. Oh wait, no, it was actually Cesaro who won. A guy who doesn't actually have a match on the pay-per-view card this year. Clearly his legend lives on. Booker T and Corey Graves have decided that Cesaro Kid doesn't work as a tag team name for them, so they want to rebrand them Kid Cesaro. But Vince McMahon immediately shoots that idea down, as it sounds far too much like wrestling superstar Kid Ink's name, and he doesn't want to confuse people. Tom Phillips' mummy has given him permission to stay up later than usual and watch the WrestleMania pay-per-view. And he's really nervous, because later on the pre-show, he's going to be interviewing a girl. Better hide those comic books, Tommy. Backstage, Loaxana and Dr. Rusev are regrouping after their recent falling out. Lana claims she will never show compassion again, which is another emotion that we can add to the pile of ones she can't do. Rusev says that tonight he will defeat John Cena and America will die. And then after they finish their multiplayer game of Civ 5, they'll have a wrestling match which will leave America completely unaffected. John Cena beat Jimmy Kimmel in a wrestling match and then appeared on his television show to promote his match with Rusev, which is appropriate, as John Cena's catchphrase of "You can't see me" is very similar to Jimmy Kimmel's catchphrase of "You won't watch me." John Cena manages to be entertaining without saying the word boobies.
There's a train coming. That's right, an American Express.
Not to be confused with the Lex Express, which was about as effective a mode of public transportation as the bus from Desert Bus. Byron Saxton claims that Rusev is the author of The Idiot's Guide to Pissing Off John Cena. I actually have a copy of that book right here. Let's see. Chapter 1. Boo! Chapter 2. Boo! Eden Styles tries to sneak a cheeky peek into Triple H's office, but then mean old Principal Kane shows up and tells her to get back to class this instant. So to summarize, a woman tried to talk to somebody, and then a guy stopped her from doing it. Wrestlemania! There is a Triple H vs. Sting video package that manages to be longer than the entire screen time that both competitors shared in the last 6 months. And then Booker T tells us that the two men being in a WWE ring together is a pretty big deal. This is just the kind of valuable insight I've come to expect from the veteran wordsmith Booker. Stephanie Myers ain't got shit on me, T. J&J Security have a random encounter with Postman Pat and Briscoe County Jr., and then there is a legitimately funny moment where Gerald Briscoe calls Joey and Jamie a couple of stooges. Unfortunately, the moment is ruined as it manages to bring back memories of the time that the Three Stooges hosted Raw. Wrestling Hall of Famers Kid Ink and Skylar Grey will be a huge relief to people's slowly inflating bladders later in the night. A video package highlights the Seth Rollins versus Randy Orton feud. It comes off like Randy spent years and years covertly infiltrating the authority, only to betray them long after their suspicions had been assuaged, when in actuality, it took place over the period of a fortnight and made everybody, including Randy, look like they had the intelligence of a lymph node. Booker T wrestles with the concept of sentence structure.
I got a chance to sit down with both Randy Orton and Seth Rollins. WrestleMania today was a huge, vast difference in the two. But the thing is, what I see as far as them having in common is they're both ready for WrestleMania tonight. And I want to see exactly, is it going to be the face or is it going to be the future? I think it's going to be the face.
Booker T, everybody. A man who could talk for literally hours and say nothing. Read his book. Tom Phillips is a Billy No-Mates. Roman Reigns is going downhill fast. In a tram car. On Lombard Street. In San Francisco. Also in general, Stephanie McMahon, one of the heads of a company where people beat the shit out of each other on a regular basis over the most minor of disputes, promotes her anti-bullying campaign. Then if you think that's daft, I'll beat the shit out of you. Renee Young recalls the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony from the other night, where everybody was dressed to the nines. Or as Booker T would say, dressed to the 9999s. There was also a Vine booth at the event, which allowed us to get a 360-degree view of Paige. Corey Graves declares that with WrestleMania, the WWE has taken over the San Francisco Bay Area, which explains why Big Show has taken up residence at Pier 39. See if you can spot him.
I'm having fun.
The panel of experts promotes the upcoming WrestleMania-themed piss break, and then Booker T once more regales us with his random sexist remarks.
Both of these women want to be the Divas champion.
They hate each other.
Or that.
You got AJ, you got Paige, two hot honeys coming on. Women just naturally hate each other. They want to scratch each other's eyes out.
It is unfortunate.
I, for one, can't wait to read Booker T's next novel, Little Women Who Can't Stand the Fucking Sight of Each Other. There is a Bray Wyatt vs. The Undertaker video package set to Johnny Cash's classic hit, The Man Comes Around. It was going to be set to I Walk the Line, but because of Bray Wyatt injuring his foot before the pay-per-view, he couldn't. Brock Lesnar has renewed his contract with the WWE for the next 3 years, or half an hour of screen time, whichever comes first. Everybody debates over how huge Roman Reigns' cock is until Booker T sets the record straight by revealing that it's 9,999 inches long. Gotta make Roman look long. Michael Cole, Jerry Lawler, and JBL are all demonstrating the newest fad of wearing formal attire while pretending to drink Mountain Dew. All the kids are doing it. Are you gonna drink
No.
that? It's time for the Faith No More 4-way tag match between Bimmy and Jimmy Uso, Kid Chameleon, Vince McMahon's concept of every Mexican ever, and...
Oh, WrestleMania! We about to get so filthy, we need to take a shower, and you got to feel the power!
I'm not sure if I'm being threatened or seduced. Or both. The New Day come out to a lukewarm reception from the crowd, even though they are clapping and such. JBL claims that Cesaro and Tyson Kidd are the best tag team we've seen since the Usos. So in other words, the best tag team since the last one. At the start, Cesaro takes out Jey Uso, forcing Jimmy to wrestle the entire match by himself. But even worse than that, it forces the announce team to try to remember which of the Usos is still wrestling.
And now we're all confused because I think this is Jimmy or Jay because the whole face is painted.
It's the non-hurt one.
No, JBL, it's actually a human being with a name. But what would the announce team need with that kind of information? Cesaro and Tyson Kidd's tag team finishing move is as damaging as a CM Punk shoot interview.
Spinning doesn't bother you. It's that sudden stop that bothers you so much, King.
No, JBL, I think you'll find it's the commentary that bothers me. Jerry Lawler describes his relationship habits.
I have no idea who's legal.
The match turns into a spot fest, and somewhere in the background, RVD stands around looking very disappointed because he heard it was going to be a pot fest. Chaos breaks out, and JBL proves himself to be the master of metaphor.
This is NASCAR. We'd call this a car wreck.
Yes, but that would require that you describe what's taking place, which is not a thing that you tend to do. If anything, that would be a much better description of the commentary at this point. Jimmy Uso, or the non-hurt one, hits his finisher, and then Cesaro takes advantage of it and gets the pin. If this was NASCAR, we'd call that someone winning a NASCAR race. Returning to Booker T's book club in the sky, Byron Saxton says he'll need an oxygen mask by the time this pay-per-view's over. Not because he's so excited that he can't breathe, but because he needs something large and metal to club Booker T to death with. What is WrestleMania all about anyway?
Natalia putting Torito in the sharpshooter.
Hey, that's what WrestleMania is all about.
Yes, WrestleMania is all about a woman trying to injure a little person dressed as a bull, who aren't even in a wrestling match at the time. That's WrestleMania. Tom Phillips spends 10 minutes trying to gather up the courage to ask Lita to the prom, and then when she ultimately refuses, he spends the rest of the interview crying. A fan on Twitter asks Lita for some advice for aspiring divas. Lita tells them to buy some camping equipment, wait outside the training center until they take pity on you and say, "Do you want to be a diva?" These are words that she actually said. I'm not joking. I don't think she was either. Back in WrestleMania's quarantine section, Byron Saxton raves about being in the same room as Hillbilly Jim, Nikolai Volkov, and Howard Finkel. He was also in the same room as wrestling superstar Virgil, but unfortunately was unable to spot him as he was surrounded by crowds of nobody. Booker T's novel has a rating of 2.99% there on Amazon. Talented wrestling talent John Gruden has taken a break from doing ESPN's Gruden's QB Camp to do something else that I don't give a shit about. Give his opinions on the Andre the Giant Memorial GoldenEye death match. I bags the odd job. John Gruden is about as enthusiastic about the Battle Royal as I am about John Gruden.
Don't do it, Ryback. Oh! Feed me more!
If this was NASCAR, I'd call this a giant waste of my time. In fact, I'm calling it that right now. After months of watching Vince McMahon dry hump the fetid corpse of Andre the Giant, it's time to finally honor his memory by throwing a bunch of jobbers into the ring and then watch them slowly fall out, like a packet of jelly babies with a rip in the bag. Bo Dallas makes his underwhelming return to the WWE, following his underwhelming entrance and exit last year. Curtis Axel makes the mistake of actually having a personality and standing out from the crowd, so everybody in the match chucks him out of the ring. Michael Cole lives in a bizarre parallel universe.
Last night on the red carpet show prior to the Hall of Fame induction ceremony here on the WWE Network, Big Show talked eloquently about the importance of him winning this event.
Here are some other examples of Big Show's eloquence. People start chanting for NXT's Hideo Itami, but Vince McMahon backstage remains unimpressed, as while Hideo Itami's finisher is the go to sleep, Vince McMahon thinks it's not that big a deal, as he's been doing that to audiences for several decades. Miz and Mizdow team up on Alex Riley, who has the date of when he became a relevant superstar tattooed on the back of his neck. There it is. The Big Show eliminates Hideo Itami. Ryback starts eliminating everybody and his mother.
Don't do it, Ryback. Oh! Feed me more!
The New Day try to team up on Big Show and eliminate him, but they didn't clap hard enough, so Tinkerbell dies. Also, Big Show eliminates them instead. Cesaro, the winner of last year's Andre the Giant Memorial Wankfest, proves how important being the winner of the match is by getting eliminated and then slowly walking to the backstage area while a sad violin plays. Big Show eliminates Ryback and his mother.
Don't do it, Ryback. Oh! Feed me more!
The final three combatants are a giant ego, a giant waste of potential, and a giant tit. The Miz says he won't stop flicking Mizdow in the boobies until he agrees to help him take out the Big Show. And then Mizdow, after several months of teasing it, finally gets his revenge on the Miz by throwing him over a rope. This is so much more satisfying than seeing them in a wrestling match. I mean, he got tossed over a rope. Talk about comeuppance. All of the cum has been up. Skittlebrow and the Big Shonen jump face off, and then Michael Cole is on the brink of climax.
Oh, no, Big Show,
Michael Cole says that if Mizdow wins, it'll be one of the biggest upsets in WrestleMania history. Yes, right up there with Brock Lesnar ending The Undertaker's undefeated streak, Lawrence Taylor beating Bam Bam Bigelow, and the Iron Sheik beating Repo Man in the Gimmick Battle Royal. And of course, we all know who's going to win this match.
The Big Show!
Aha, there's Jerry Lawler again with his jovial sense of... Oh.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
If this were NASCAR, we'd call it Go Fuck Yourself, Big Show. We return to the Sisterhood of the Traveling Wanks, where Booker T spends an inordinate amount of time gloating that he knew the Big Show would win. Isn't that rather like being proud of telling your kids that there's no Santa Claus? I mean, yes, you're right, but... you're also a twat. The panel of X-Bones talk about all the awesome costumes they've seen in the crowd. In fact, just a few seconds ago, we saw someone walking around dressed as the Big Show, pretending that he'd won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Such a great costume. Glad it wasn't real. Booker T's novel turns out to be just a carbon copy of Mick Foley's autobiography, with all the nouns replaced by the words shucky ducky quack quack. It becomes super awkward when The Undertaker chokeslams Mick Foley through the shucky ducky quack quack in a cell. WrestleMania is invaded by the Ladders, who claim they are only here to protect us from the imminent mammoth invasion. Mammoths can't climb ladders, you see. It's the perfect strategy. Pat Patterson heard that somebody needed his help with a strap-on, but it turns out that they just wanted him to strap the Intercontinental title on to the hook that will elevate it over the ring for the match. Pat Patterson is understandably disappointed. The WrestleMania sign has reached its final form. Next thing you know, Goku's going to show up and fight the WrestleMania sign for 25 episodes, or 5 minutes. It would still feel a lot shorter than most Big Show matches. Aloe Black begins the show with the most patriotic song ever performed.
Oh, Fort Lottie Dottie, you got to feel it in your body. Come on now, feel the power.
Former WWE champion LL Cool J shows up to deliver the most pretentious speech possible from a man who once said the words, "I'm going to knock you out. Mama said knock you out. Don't call it a comeback. I'd much rather call it a go the fuck away." He talks about technology making the world a much smaller place, the evolution of entertainment, and the human connection. Apparently somebody switched LL Cool J's Wrestlemania speech with the one he was going to make at the Consumer Electronics Show next year in Las Vegas. Ironically, when he gets to that convention, he will spend 10 minutes talking about Hulk Hogan and then hit Bill Gates with a steel chair. It'll be bloody amazing. Soft sells Blu-ray, then leans forward and presses the WrestleMania sign's play button. Unfortunately, the WrestleMania sign freezes and tells LL Cool J that he needs to download the latest codecs if he wants to play the pay-per-view. WrestleMania begins for about the 5th time tonight, and then it's time for the Jeff Intercontinental Championship Spanner match. Spanner match meaning that it features a large assortment of tools. Even JBL thinks that this pay-per-view is a bit of a rip-off.
You gotta get up that ladder to get that Intercontinental Championship.
Daniel Bryan is the first man to come out, and Michael Cole announces that this WrestleMania is beginning the way that the last one ended, because for some reason it's a good idea to highlight the fact that last year's main eventer is now a curtain jerker for a joke match. WrestleMania is being broadcast this year in 20 different languages, including English, bullshit, Smarkanese, and Jerry Lawler. Stardust comes out in a typically goofy outfit, and JBL steals Jerry Lawler's gimmick of trying to appeal to teenage girls.
Cody Rhodes is now dead. It's now all about Stardust.
It's like the Mockingjay.
Does he? Maybe if this was the porn version of the Hunger Games entitled Cockinjay, he might have a point. But then why anybody would fap to an inferior version of Jennifer Lawrence is beyond me. The prequel to Cockinjay was called Snatch on Fire. The announcers keep insisting that R-Truth has a fear of heights, even though it never comes into play during the match and has never been an issue in previous matches featuring R-Truth. There's that classic WWE storytelling, make shit up and then forget about it moments later. The crowd chants Cody at Stardust, which frustrates him to no end, as he much prefers playing as Mike Hagar. Stardust brings out his own glittery ladder, because as everybody knows, when exposed to sunlight, ladders sparkle. Or was that vampires? No, definitely ladders. Makes way more sense. Luke Harper pays homage to Terry Funk and retires 18 times during the match. He also puts the ladder on his head and spins around like a maniac. JBL mistakes Luke Harper for an African-American member of the Legion of Doom.
Black Hawk down! Black Hawk down!
And then Luke Harper apparently clones himself.
Luke Harper has powerbombed Luke Harper from inside the ring to out.
Bad News Barrett reminds everybody that he's still in the match and subsequently still in the company, and then Daniel Bryan climbs to the top of the ladder, allowing JBL to exclaim that he had no idea farm animals could climb. You know, despite the fact that goats are some of the world's best climbers. Bryan and Ziggler do battle for the belt by doing their impression of the WWE creative team, butting heads with each other until the densest one wins. Dorf on Golf finally falls to the ground, allowing Daniel Bryan to pick up the allowing Daniel Bryan to pick up the win. Michael Cole once again announces that this year, WrestleMania is starting the way last year's ended, with Daniel Bryan winning a title belt. Except, of course, this time he's just winning a Pez dispenser shaped like a title belt. Big difference. A new series called Tap Out is coming to the WWE Network in 2016. I can only imagine it's just hours of footage of people watching Legends House while screaming for mercy. Seth Wrestlings is going to roll vigorously with Randy Orton, and then we learn that WrestleMania is sponsored by Terminator Genesis. If this were NASCAR, we'd say that WrestleMania was sponsored by a car wreck.